Hey everyone, it's Backyard Wildlife Maine here for episode 9 of our 2025 trail camera compilations. The first clip you see here is of a doe and a fawn who blasted out into the behind bog area. Not sure what spooked them, but it could have been about anything this time of year. This particular video was taken on September 2nd, so it was the first day of deer hunting season. It's potential that there was a hunter out there or they heard a shot. They walk off towards the trailhead, which will eventually lead them to the blue tarp area. This is the same doe and fawn that frequent my backyard and have eaten my elderberries and now my rose bushes. They also get into the birdseed that I leave out for rodents and birds. But I love them. And there's a really special video at the end of this sequence of the two of them. This next clip is a large doe that steps out into the behind bog clearing again. I actually just set a camera today on the back side of this little grove of pine trees, hoping to catch where they're coming in from and maybe seeing them doing some different types of behaviors. She gives her belly a quick lick. I don't know whether she's got an itch or whether she's just grooming. I've seen a lot of interesting behavior this particular episode, and I love watching the deer in their natural environment. This clip is of a small spikehorn. Notice that he's got different height antlers. He comes into the clearing, he sniffs around. There was a doe in the previous video, and he may still catch her scent. This is the second spikehorn buck that we've seen on camera this week. We found another one that's in a later sequence later on in this compilation, but he's got a little bit taller antlers, and they're even. They're not different heights. I love the close-up we get of him here because you can really see all the details of his fur, his antlers, his eyes, his swishing tail. He's just beautiful. Young buck, and hopefully he'll make it through this hunting season and grow a bigger pair of antlers next year. This is the 5-point buck that we've seen several times over the past couple of weeks. This video was taken in the behind bog area, and it was at that kind of weird time of the morning where the cameras don't catch great quality video. That's switching over from a night vision over to day vision, and there might be a little bit of moisture on the lens, and this video would have been great had the camera actually performed, but it did not, and we just have to accept it for what it is. this is probably my favorite video of all the sequences, maybe save one of this episode. This huge buck steps out into the behind bog clearing. He's a little bit nervous. He's sniffing around. He shows us his full body and antlers in broad daylight, which is something very unusual. We just usually catch these big bucks late at night, you know, in infrared. But this guy steps out into the clearing. I think it's around either 6 or 7 in the morning. Very, very unusual. It's during hunting season. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but take notice of the top part of the screen. There's another large buck up there. I zoomed in on it because I didn't understand what was going on. And what it appears to be is a large buck kind of nuzzling and doing some grooming with a doe. So this doe and other buck are up in the corner. They're interacting with each other for a very, very long period of time. This buck down here that we're seeing catches them, in his vision, and he stares at them. And then he slowly saunters up the trail towards this other buck and doe. The video, of course, these cameras only have like 100-foot detection range, and I think it's probably a little bit more than 100 feet up to where the buck and doe are. So there was no movement that was going to trigger it. But boy, wouldn't I love to know what was going on. Did this buck and him fight? Did they just spook each other off? There's so many questions that this brings up, but I feel really, really blessed to have seen this particular clip because you just don't see these big bucks that often, and they're so impressive. The next two clips are amazing. This is a new site called the Bog Crossing. This is another very large, I'm going to call it alpha buck. He steps in. You can see how bulky his body is. He's sniffing along this very well-worn trail up into this like kind of bog area where I just happened to set a camera. And the second clip is fantastic because he pauses right in front of the camera. He tucks his knees together and you can see the stream of urine coming down, and what he's doing is he is coating his tarsal glands with his own urine to use as a scent marking technique. Really great capture. So impressed. And this show comes out, I actually think she came out like 3 days later. And I haven't checked the camera again since. These are the only 3 clips on it, so who knows what's on it this week. Hoping to get some more clips, maybe of the big buck coming the opposite direction. I said that the clip of the large buck with the other buck and doe that were kind of nuzzling was my favorite. But this is another contender. This is a 4-point buck. He may be considered just a 3-point. I really can't tell fully. He gets so close to the camera. This Strike Force DCL has such great clarity, and it's just so crisp and sharp. He sees the camera. He's in the perfect position. He's perfectly framed. He lingers here. He sniffs around. He's not overly afraid. He eventually decides to kind of exit this little grassy area, which is at the base of a field, in a different direction. But he doesn't seem overly scared. 2 minutes later, this guy comes out, and what a weird rack he's got. I think he is a 7-point buck. It's a webbed rack. We've seen him on a few other videos, but never this close and this detailed. So we think we know who his daddy is. Another new location. It's kind of a branch off of the corner pin. We're going to call this the corner pin trail. You see that the very first part of the clip, a buck leapt off camera to the right, and then a few seconds later, this other guy comes down. Decent sized rack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-pointer maybe. And then another little spike horn comes in off to the side. The bigger buck is scenting. He follows the other buck towards the end of the corner pin trail. And this little spike horn comes out, and you notice that he's different than the other one. He's got a much taller rack. It's kind of curved like it's a gazelle, and there's no real height variation in this. Great capture, full broad daylight, and during hunting season. This next sequence is still at the corner pin, but from a different direction. It's kind of at the crossroads of the corner pin. And a lot of these shots you're going to see intermingled with the corner pin trail because I put them in based on time. This was taken with our new Tacticam Pro 3.0, which is being returned. It sucks. This clip is most likely a doe and her fawn, probably the same ones we keep seeing at the corner pin trail. The fawn is on the right hand side. They're coming from kind of the area 2 trails down from the behind bog area. The fawn comes out first, and then the doe kind of creeps in afterwards. We did set a camera up near what looks like to be a clump of almost white birch trees up in the upper left-hand corner, facing towards this camera. So hopefully we'll be able to see where they're coming out. There's a lot of poop in that area, so hopefully we get shots. It's a Tacticam, and we haven't been notified yet, so it's debatable whether we're going to get any. This next sequence is a doe walking across the clearing, and she plops down, and I think she takes a pee in front of the camera. Um, and I'm gonna tell you the significance of this. Yes, she's peeing. So this particular camera in this particular trail, I think I caught deer defecating and urinating at least 4 or 5 times. So we're gonna rename this trail the potty trail next time, because that's a high frequency of bathroom shots. The next several clips are taken at the corner pin, kind of like the corner of the corner pin. They're with the Tacticam Pro Reveal or 3.0. Again, I'll say that I'm unhappy with the performance of this camera and we're going to be returning it. But this is the first of several clips. You're going to see a herd of 4 does come through. I think that the fawn is in tow with one of them. They just kind of wander through the area, nibbling around, and then they disappear. We don't know whether they went to the kind of northern corner of the trail or whether they went down to the western corner. But at least we know they were in the center of the clearing. So enjoy this next several clips. This next clip, we are back on the potty trail, and this is another doe that steps out, walks over to the camera, and pops a squat. This is particularly interesting because you can see her preparing to go pee and then squatting down, and you can see the stream of urine. I do find this fascinating. Some of you may not enjoy it, but I will tell you that some of our highest viewed videos have been of deer pooping and peeing. So I'm going to prepare all the clips of the potty shots later on this week, and they'll all be starting to loading up on the YouTube Shorts and the Facebook Shorts. So enjoy them when they post. So it looks like the answer to the question of where did the herd go, or at least this doe and fawn, is kind of to the east. So they didn't. It looks like they went up somewhere, and then they've come. At least these two have come back, and they're heading in an easterly direction towards what would be the behind bog and eventually the blue tarp cameras. Same area, but now we have some night shots coming up, and this is a doe that comes out and sniffs around. I did put the clips in time sequence this week, which is unusual for me because I usually screw it up somehow. But I was a good girl this week, and I actually looked and I moved stuff around. So all of these dates and times should be accurate and reflected as they happened in the correct order, at least. This is, I think, the resident 7 pointer. We've seen him several times on camera, never in this area, but then again, we haven't had a camera here for more than a week. Um, it looks like he just kind of grazes through the area. It looks like he's eating. He may be also getting some scent. This is the area where all those does came through. Who knows? I do know that we catch him. We've at the behind bog area. We've caught him at the road camera, and we've caught him at the woodyard camera. So he definitely dwells in this area. And same night, a little bit later in the evening, we've got a doe or a fawn that comes through. Looks like it's raining. I do love the Tacticams because they give you notifications whenever there's activity, and I do like that. This Pro 3.0, the night vision or the night videos are so much better than the day videos, but it's nothing like the Reveal Ultra, which is too bad. later on in the night. And this camera is wrong in terms of the dates. We do have it set up correctly. We're on potty trail again, and this doe pops a squat in front of the camera again. And then the very next clip is the same trail. I'm going to call it again potty trail. And we've got another doe who walks across the camera taking a poop. I don't know what it is about this particular trail, but we have gotten clip after clip after clip of bodily functions on it. And I have to get a kick out of it. I'm actually going to keep the voiceover going here because I'm like thinking to myself, is this doe going to go to the bathroom too? Let's find out together. I do watch these clips in advance, but there's so many of them that I don't always remember exactly what's going to happen. It looks like we're safe from potty time on this particular clip. Although this next clip, the deer has the tail up on it, which makes me think she was kind of pooping as she walked across the camera. Ah, this is hilarious. Back to more of that buck nibbling what amounts to be grasses and alpine strawberries and ferns, basically, is what grows here. There's not a whole lot else growing. It's very scrubby. Um, and he still nibbles his way across this little clearing. I think what he's going to do is just head off to the right hand side here, disappear behind the pine tree, and then we'll see him later on a different camera. This next clip is two does or a doe and a fawn. I can't tell which. Heading easterly along the corner pin. I think that this time of night is so beautiful. It's when the infrared turns on, but there's still a little bit of light in the sky, so everything just looks very, very magical. And um, the reveal did catch it very nicely during this clip. This is later that morning, just just minutes later, and the doe and the fawn are coming back up through. So it looks like they kind of grazed down to where my husband's hunting blind actually is, and then it looks like they turned around and headed back up this way. I was quiet during the beginning part of that video because he actually grunts twice as he's coming down the hill towards the camera, and I was hoping that you would get to hear it. I don't know how high the volume is set to, but if you want to rewind, this is a great time to do so. Turn up your volume, start back at that clip, and he does make two light, high pitched grunts. This was actually an accidental clip. We had set a camera up at the front of the bog, which is on the opposite side of behind the bog. The bog's actually dried up. There's no water in it. It's not even muddy or sloshy. But we left the camera there for a single night because we had not had a clip on it all week long. And we went back on Sunday, I think, or Saturday, I'm not sure what day it was, to move the camera. And we accidentally had picked up this one clip. We moved this camera to a new location, and I didn't discover this clip until I downloaded it when I picked cards up on Friday. Pretty interesting, but as you can see why I set the camera here initially, because the colors are so gorgeous. I just wish that the deer were coming through here, but they're not. This is a new camera location called the Green Truck, and we are calling it this basically because my father has a green truck that's parked kind of near where we have to get on the trail to get to this location. It's really deep. It's horrible terrain. It's just awful. So we set the Tacticam Ultra out here so we would get notifications. We left it here for a week. We get a lot of doe clips and one buck clip, which is coming up next. And my husband ended up moving it to the potty trail site this weekend. This is the buck we got. This is the 7 pointer. We've seen him at Behind Bog. We've seen him on the road. We've seen him at the wood yard, and we've also seen him here at the green truck and the corner pen. So he gets around, but he sees the camera in this clip, and I think it's pretty interesting. This is another slightly smaller book. It looks like this guy's like a 4 pointer or maybe a 5 pointer because he does have that tine on the right hand side. I don't know if it's 2 inches long or not. Um, but we'll call him a five just to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think we've seen him before. I think we've seen him at Behind Bog, and I think we've seen him at the Woodyard too. So one of these young bucks that's in the same territory of as these larger ones, but they seem to be getting along pretty good at this point. If you watched last week or listened to my voiceover for the compilation, you'll know that I went to the pit pond, which is dried up, found a gorgeous, massive geode boulder, and so many deer tracks. I couldn't even think there was so many. And I set a camera here, and this is all we got all week. We got this pair of coyotes in this clip, and the previous clip was a single coyote. This is Rock Road, and I don't know why this week, but basically the camera was not triggering soon enough, so the otters were just way past it every time it went off. So we have several clips of the otters, but we don't catch them until they're already up in the back corner, unfortunately. This is the wood yard. It is our cockeyed camera, but as you can see, the big buck comes out. Not the best video, it's kind of foggy, but you can see the impressive rack. These clips are very short because my camera battery was low. It seems to be the rule of trail cams. Whenever you have these really good clips, your batteries are low. I think that this is the 7-pointer. Yeah, I think he's a 7-pointer we've seen before. And we have a bunch of does coming through here as well. These next several clips are actually of my front yard. I had set up a critter cam with black oiled sunflower seeds for birds and for rodents for my brother and I's front yard wildlife Maine channel. It appears as though the black oil sunflower seeds are very attractive to deer as well. And this is the doe and fawn that have frequented my yard for many months anyways. So it's not unusual to see them. I have seen them eating the bird seed before. It's kind of hard to keep them out of it, just like it's hard to keep them out of my roses, my dogwood tree, and my elderberry. So I think that you just have to adapt and live with the deer because they're going to be on the property anyways. What I found interesting about these particular clips was that when I looked at the timestamps and I had checked a bunch of them, because I actually have over 200 of these clips. I'm just only going to put these up here, just a few. Um, these deer are coming out 20 minutes after the last time the door shuts in the house, 20 minutes after dark. Um, they are out there with the dog barking and the neighbor's dog barking, and they don't seem really bothered. I will say that this is the fawn, and the fawn seems scared, and it's because I swapped cameras. The camera that is usually out here, the Critter Cam, is my Guard Pro TC5F. This camera I swapped out is a Cabela's camera, and and they had been out here for 3 nights in a row with the Guard Pro and weren't bothered by it at the least. When I put the Cabela's camera out there, as you can see, this fawn is very, very cautious. He stayed for a long time in the bush area there. It didn't come out, and he's still sniffing around, acting tentatively. I don't know whether the Cabela's camera makes sounds or what, but there's obviously a pretty big difference between the two because the Guard Pro doesn't seem to affect them at all. Like I said, I have over 200 clips of them in the same general vicinity, this edge of the woods area, as well as a wood pile that I put a critter cam on, and they're not bothered by the Guard Pro. So, just if you're looking to film wildlife, maybe get a Guard Pro. just had to come back on for this sequence right here. I just think that it's really cool because this doe, I'm not sure whether it was the doe or the fawn, is just literally standing directly in front of the Cabela's camera. It's Of course, if this was the Guard Pro, we would have been getting really high resolution images right now. The Cabela's just does not do that. I'm actually going to just give them away. Um, but she just patiently stands here staring at the camera. I don't know what, it makes me wonder what she's thinking. She doesn't seem scared necessarily. I mean, maybe she's just curious, or is she looking at the camera or is she looking past it? I don't know. She gives herself a little bit of a grooming here. Um, and I love watching this too. It's like, she, of all places for her to choose, she chose in front of my camera to do this. I told you that I was good and I had put the clips on the right order, and I realized that these clips of the woodpile actually occurred before the clips that you just saw of the doe and fawn at the edge of the forest with the Cabela's. Anyway, some backstory. I told you earlier that my brother and I run a front yard wildlife main channel, and we have what we call a critter cam, and we like to get like chipmunks and squirrels and all kinds of migratory birds on it. We've actually gotten some raccoons, and we've seen a fox out here a few times, porcupine, skunk, you name it. So I like to see the birds in a natural environment. So I sprinkled this wood pile with black oil sunflower seeds. And I've set up what I assumed would be my critter cam. This is not the first time I've had it out here, it's the second, but I set the camera and I checked it the next morning and the batteries were drained. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I realized after watching it that this doe and fawn were out all night long. And I think that what they're doing is this doe is clearly nibbling up the sunflower seeds that I left for mice, squirrels, and birds. Um, and the daytime clips are of the squirrels. They kind of kick the seeds off into the ground. And a lot of these clips was the doe kind of rooting around in the grass. She was eating grass and sunflower seeds. It was just really obvious. So very, very cute. I wish they wouldn't do it, but I didn't want to waste this beautiful footage. Another thing that we seem to attract a lot of is mice, and I'm trying to find a way to keep the mice videos to a minimum. Um, so that we can get cooler things like the flying squirrels and raccoons and stuff because we really do like to see those on camera. And of course, the daytime shots are what we're mostly there for. I just forget to turn the camera off at night. Um, but blue jays, chickadees, titmice, whatever. Those are what we're really going for here. And we ended up with these deer this night, and I think the next night, and maybe the next night too. Just pretty much every night. She's out here all the time, and it doesn't even matter if I don't have sunflower seeds out here. She's into my elderberries, or she's into my roses, or she's into my you name it. We have to have a huge fence around the garden because this doe and fawn are frequent flyers of all things edible in my yard. And, oh, mostly lately my hostas too. I forgot about that. But I love them, and I love watching them. And if they're gonna nibble the seeds that I leave for the birds, there's not much I can do about it. Oh, she was scared there. She probably heard me open the door or my husband open the door. It's funny that he's gone out a few times lately, and when he got home, he was like, "The doe was out this morning, and I saw them. They just stared at me until I left." So, but yeah, she really loves these sunflower seeds. Stinker. I'm going to ask that you turn your volume up for the very next clip. It's truly amazing, and I think I've watched it 1,000 times because I cannot get enough of it. So I'm going to go quiet for a second. What an amazing capture. I feel like I can't get any luckier than that. This is a fawn that is well past weaning stage, but obviously thought that he could get, or she could get a snack off mommy. And what a voracious little appetite it has. And how aggressive is that? but so cute. And I still can't get over the fact that I caught this on my front yard. I cannot wait until fawning season. I'm just going to set all the woods with cameras and hopefully we'll get so much more of this. Mom and the fawn spend some time grooming each other before they head off into the woods. I also want to make a note here. You can see the how much nicer the video is in this particular one, and that is because it is the Guard Pro, and the Guard Pro is stunning when it comes to video and pictures. I have set up a blur on this, not because I'm offended by it. I actually think it's, it's part of life, it's part of nature, and I think it's fascinating. But for those of you who are interested, I got an hour and 35 minutes of bobcat clips this past week. There was a legally harvested deer, and someone notified me of it. They had left the gut pile in a location that they told me about, and I thought to myself, well, what a great way to document what happens to nature after it expires. And I wanted to see the scavenging process. I was wondering if there was eagles. I didn't know it was going to show up. I was very, very interested in seeing the full circle of life. So I set a camera up for 2 nights. I got hundreds and hundreds of clips of bobcats eating the gut pile. So I've blurred this, but check it out on YouTube. I have the full compilation there.